You must know what you're going after. You must know what you are going after. You can't live your life meandering around hoping you hit something, and whatever you hit, you say, that's what I was aiming at. You have to have a specific target in mind. That's a very significant question in knowing what you're going after. Before you go after it, ask God, is it yours? Most people don't succeed at getting what they're going after because they don't take the time to research what they're going after. They ask for things and then see if they want them. Because if it's not yours, and the only reason you're going after it is because it looked good on somebody else, you begin to covet what belongs to somebody else. Because God didn't want us to be jealous of each other. He wanted you to only want what he meant for you to have and not want what he meant for me to have. Most people want everything they see somebody else with. They buy clothes that don't look good on them. They wear hairstyles that don't look good on them. They buy houses they can't afford because they're trying to keep up with somebody else. But if you really want to be a winner, if you really want to come off as successful, if you really want to be bright, only go after things that are meant for you to have. Now you say amen to that, but there's very few people who live by that principle. It will make you look successful. And what makes you look bright is when you pick your battles. I can make you think I know Kung Fu. As long as you let me choose who I do it to. I kick you in the head if it's the right one. There are some things that you don't fight because that's not your fight. You don't get into that thing. You don't pick those battles. You don't covet what you see somebody else fight down because they're anointed to fight that. They can do that. You might not be gifted to fight that area, and you don't want to covet somebody else's battle or covet somebody else's success. And the other word I want you to think about is the word envy. Because envy is the attitude that you have about other people's success. When you become envious of other people's success, you fail to become everything that God would have you to be. And the quickest way to stop being envious of other people's success is to know that God has something for you, that everything in your life is preparing you for that thing. Moments that if you handle properly, they are pivotal points that change your life for a lifetime. It is at these moments that if you know what you're going after, everything that you went through before is justified in preparing you for these defining moments. Know what you're going after. Be clear about your direction. Don't wake up in the morning and see if something's going to happen. Wake up in the morning to make something happen. Oh, I lost half of you on that. Get up out of the bed with an agenda. Because you're just so happy that you got up, you don't care what does happen. You say, well, at least I'm up. But people who get up like that, nothing does happen. And the days turn to weeks. And the weeks turn to months. And the months turn to years. Years of mediocrity is what causes people to be bitter. If you want to get around bitter and complaining people, get around people who are not seeing much activity. They're complaining, they're cynical, and they're jealous because nothing is happening. If you want to get around less gossip and less jealousy, get around successful, busy people. Because busy people don't have time to care what's going on in your life. I have no need to investigate what's going on in your life. I have so much going on in my own life. The only people who have time for that is people who are not doing anything. And they watch your life like it's a soap opera. What's going on in your life intrigues them because nothing is going on in their life. And if you want to stop that from happening to you, wake up in the bed and know what you're going after. Get up out of the bed with an agenda. When you have an agenda, you don't spend time worrying about how you feel because it doesn't make any difference how you feel. You woke up with something to do.
In a time when people are feeling a great deal of anxiety and reservations about the future, that many times I'm sure that we've all taken time just to stop and reflect. Many times when we hear what's happening in the news or read the newspapers, where's all of this leading to? And so I think that now more than ever, we must begin to look at what are the things that we can do that would put us on some firm footing in life, that will enable us to do some things and use some powers that we have, that many of us go through life never ever discovering that we have those things going for us. And part of that, I believe, is knowing what it is your life worth. What is it that gives your life a sense of meaning and purpose? Because once you find that, it puts you in your power place. See, if you know what your life work is, I encourage you to start working on it. And if you don't know what it is that you showed up to do, if you don't know why you're here, I encourage you to find out what your purpose is here. What is the meaning of your life?
I remember walking across this yard on what seemed to be a random day, my head down, lost in my own world of issues, like many of you do daily. I'm almost at the center of the yard. I raised my head and Muhammad Ali was walking towards me. Time seemed to slow down as his eyes locked on mine. He's raised his fist into a quintessential guard. I was game to play along with him, to act as if I was a worthy opponent. What an honor to be challenged by the greatest of all time for a brief moment. His face was as serious as if I were Frazier in the Thriller in Manila. His security let the joke play along for a second before they ushered him away, and I walked away floating like a butterfly. I walked away light, ready to take on the world. I realized that he was transferring something to me on that day. He was transferring the spirit of the fighter in me. Throughout ancient times, institutions of learning have been built on top of hills to convey that great struggle is required to achieve degrees of enlightenment. Each of you had your own unique difficulties with the hill. For some of you, the challenge was actually academics. For others, it was financial. You and your family struggled to make ends meet. You had to work an extra job or two. For a lot of you, not all, but a lot of you, your hardest struggle was social. Some of you never fit in. You were never as cool and as popular as you wanted to be, and it bothers you. Or some of you went through something traumatic. You made it to the top of the hill, but not without scars and bruises. When completing a long climb, one first experiences dizziness and shortness of breath due to the high altitude. But once you become accustomed to the climb, your mind opens up to the tranquility of the triumph. Right now, I urge you, look down over what you conquered and appreciate what God has brought you through.
When you come to the defining moments in your life, you can look at the other moments in your life and say, Lord, I wasn't happy about that when it happened, but I'm glad now that it happened. Because I realized that if I hadn't have gone through that, I wouldn't be ready for this. Everything you took me through before was preparing me for this moment, and now I'm ready to go after what God has promised me and receive it at all costs.
Sometimes you need to get knocked down before you can really figure out what your fight is and how you need to fight it. Sometimes you need to feel the pain and sting of defeat to activate the real passion and purpose that God predestined inside of you. God says in Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Hear me well on this day. When you have reached the hilltop and you are deciding on next jobs, next steps, careers, you would rather find purpose than a job or a career. Purpose crosses disciplines. Purpose is an essential element of you. It is the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history. Your very existence is wrapped up in the things you are here to fulfill. Whatever you choose for a career path, remember the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose. When God has something for you, it doesn't matter who stands against it. God will move someone that's holding you back away from a door and put someone there who will open it for you. If it's meant for you,